You spent thousands on smart devices, but your home still feels like a disconnected mess of gadgets that barely talk to each other. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Most people think they're building a smart home when they're actually creating what I call a gadget graveyard. A collection of expensive devices that work in isolation. Today I'm showing you the 7 critical mistakes that are sabotaging your smart home integration, and how fixing just one of these can transform your scattered devices into a seamless, intelligent system that actually makes your life easier. Most people think voice control is the ultimate smart home feature, but there's a dark secret manufacturers don't want you to know. Voice commands seem magical at first. You feel like you're living in the future when you first say turn off the lights, and watch your room darken instantly. That initial moment when you realize you can control your home with just your voice creates an addictive rush of technological empowerment. You start imagining all the possibilities. Dimming lights while watching movies, adjusting temperature from bed, or turning on music without reaching for your phone. But after a few weeks, you start noticing the cracks. Commands don't work consistently anymore. You find yourself repeating, turn off the kitchen lights 3 times before anything happens. Sometimes the system responds to background noise from your TV, randomly activating devices when you weren't even talking to it. Other times you speak clearly and get complete silence in return. Family members get frustrated when they can't remember the exact phrase that works, or when their voice isn't recognized properly. Your kids give up trying to use voice commands altogether after a few failed attempts. The real problem emerges when you have multiple devices from different brands with different wake words. You end up saying "Hey Google" for some devices, Alexa for others, and maybe "Hey Siri" for your Apple products. This creates a mental juggling act where you have to remember not just what you want to control, but which system controls it. Your brain starts treating voice commands like a foreign language with multiple dialects, each requiring different syntax and vocabulary. Research reveals something manufacturers rarely discuss openly. Voice command accuracy drops significantly in real-world home environments with background noise. Laboratory testing shows impressive accuracy rates, but your kitchen doesn't have the acoustic isolation of a testing facility. When your dishwasher is running, kids are talking, or the TV is on, voice recognition systems struggle to separate your commands from ambient sound. The microphones that seemed so sensitive during setup suddenly can't distinguish your voice from the vacuum cleaner or the neighbor's lawnmower outside. This inconsistency creates a single point of failure that makes your entire system feel unreliable. When voice commands work perfectly, your smart home feels brilliant and responsive. When they fail, the whole experience feels broken and frustrating. You start losing confidence in the system, second-guessing whether you spoke clearly enough or used the right phrase. This uncertainty transforms what should be effortless control into a source of daily annoyance. The mental overhead becomes exhausting as your device collection grows. You need different commands for different functions. Turn off the living room lights versus dim the living room lights to 30% versus set living room lights to movie mode. Each device manufacturer uses slightly different command structures, so your smart thermostat responds to different phrases than your smart speakers. You find yourself creating mental cheat sheets for various scenarios, defeating the purpose of intuitive control. Consider what happens when you install smart switches, smart bulbs, smart plugs, and smart sensors throughout your home. Each category requires its own set of voice commands with specific naming conventions. Your bedroom lamp might be controlled differently than your bedroom ceiling light, even though they're in the same room. The system that promised to simplify your life now requires you to remember dozens of device names and corresponding commands. Voice commands also struggle with context and nuance. When you say turn on the lights, which lights do you mean? The system might guess based on your location, but it often guesses wrong. You end up being more specific. Turn on the kitchen pendant lights instead of just turn on the lights. This specificity requirement makes voice control feel robotic and unnatural, like you're programming a computer rather than conversing with an intelligent assistant. The situation becomes particularly problematic during evening routines or when you're trying to create ambiance. You want to dim multiple lights, adjust temperature, and start some background music, but voice commands force you to handle each action separately. You end up saying, dim the living room lights to 20%, set the thermostat to 68 degrees, and play jazz music. A sentence so long and specific that it feels more like reciting a script than giving natural commands. Family members develop different relationships with voice control based on their comfort with technology. While you might persist through the learning curve, others in your household often abandon voice commands after a few frustrating experiences. This creates an uneven user experience where some people can control the home effectively, while others feel locked out of the system they live in. The cognitive overhead extends beyond just remembering commands. You start planning your words before speaking, considering which wake word to use, whether the room is too noisy, and if you're standing close enough to a microphone. Voice control transforms from an intuitive interface into a technical skill that requires conscious effort and practice. Smart speakers work best for specific tasks like playing music or delivering voice notifications, rather than serving as the primary control method for your entire smart home. Music streaming feels natural because you can say, "Play some jazz," without worrying about exact device names or technical specifications. Weather updates, timer setting, and basic information queries work reliably because they don't depend on your specific device configuration. A more practical approach involves using a limited set of voice commands for convenient actions, such as controlling devices while relaxing on the couch. When you're settled in for the evening and don't want to reach for your phone or walk to a switch, voice commands provide genuine value. The key is treating voice control as one option among several, not as your primary interface. The honeymoon phase ends when you realize that voice commands create cognitive overhead and inconsistent experiences. Instead of making your home more intuitive, heavy reliance on voice control makes it feel like you're constantly troubleshooting a temperamental system. The technology that promised to understand you naturally instead requires you to learn its language and speak on its terms. What actually works better for daily control involves combining multiple interface methods that complement each other naturally. Your automations trigger at exactly the wrong moments. And there's a scientific reason why this keeps happening. People set up automations based on clock times rather than actual behavior patterns, creating systems that feel more like annoying roommates than helpful technology. You program your lights to turn on at 6 p.m. every day, thinking you've created the perfect evening routine. But your actual schedule varies wildly. Some days you're home by 5:30, other days you don't walk through the door until 8 p.m., and weekends follow completely different patterns. This creates a frustrating disconnect where your lights turn on when you're still at work, waste energy illuminating empty rooms, or leave you fumbling in the dark when you actually need them. Your smart home starts feeling robotic and annoying rather than intelligent and helpful. The automation that seemed brilliant during setup now triggers at exactly the wrong moments, making you question whether smart home technology actually improves your life. Static time-based triggers ignore the natural variability in human routines that make our lives dynamic and unpredictable. Human circadian rhythms introduce significant variability into daily schedules, making time-based automations less effective. These internal biological clocks differ between individuals and fluctuate for the same person depending on daily activities, work demands, social obligations, and even seasonal changes. Your body doesn't operate on the rigid schedule your smart home assumes it does. Consider how a 6 p.m. lighting schedule might work perfectly on typical weekdays when your routine stays consistent, but becomes disruptive on weekends when sleep patterns shift, social activities extend later, or you spend the day away from home. The automation becomes a source of irritation rather than convenience because it operates independently of your actual presence and needs. You end up manually overriding the system so frequently that the automation feels pointless. Time-based automations feel intrusive because they don't account for context or current circumstances. Your thermostat drops the temperature at 10 p.m. every night, even when you're hosting friends and want the house comfortable for guests. Your bedroom lights dim at 9 p.m., regardless of whether you're reading, working late, or not even home yet. These rigid schedules create moments where your home seems to be working against you, rather than adapting to your needs. The problem compounds when you layer multiple time-based automations throughout your day. Morning routines trigger whether you're rushing to catch an early flight or sleeping in on vacation. Evening scenes activate during dinner parties when you want different lighting and temperature settings. Your smart home becomes a collection of inflexible schedules competing with your actual lifestyle instead of supporting it. Sensor-based triggers create more natural and helpful automation experiences by responding to real-time activities and environmental conditions rather than arbitrary clock times. Motion sensors detect when you actually enter a room, occupancy sensors understand when spaces are being used, and light sensors respond to changing daylight levels throughout the day. This responsiveness creates automations that feel intuitive because they react to what's happening, rather than what time it is. The difference between scheduled automation and responsive automation becomes clear when you experience both approaches. Scheduled automation says, turn on the lights at 6 p.m. regardless of circumstances. Responsive automation says, turn on the lights when someone enters the room and ambient light levels are low enough to need artificial lighting. The first approach assumes your behavior, the second responds to your actual actions and environmental conditions. Layering multiple sensor inputs creates more intelligent decision-making that considers various factors before triggering automation. Instead of relying on a single motion sensor that might activate lights when a pet walks through the room, you can combine occupancy detection with door sensors and time-of-day information to create smarter triggers. A motion sensor combined with a door contact sensor can distinguish between someone entering a room versus a pet wandering through, reducing false activations that make the system feel unreliable. Temperature automation becomes much more effective when it responds to actual occupancy rather than clock times. Instead of lowering the thermostat at a set time each night, the system can monitor room occupancy and adjust temperature based on whether people are actually using different areas of the house. This approach saves energy by avoiding unnecessary heating or cooling of unoccupied spaces, while maintaining comfort in areas where people are present. Lighting automation demonstrates the power of responsive triggers particularly well. Rather than turning on all exterior lights at sunset regardless of whether anyone is home, motion sensors can activate outdoor lighting only when someone approaches the house. Interior lights can respond to room occupancy combined with ambient light levels, ensuring lights turn on when needed, but don't waste energy illuminating empty spaces during daylight hours. Window shade automation showcases how environmental sensors create more natural experiences than time-based schedules. Light sensors can automatically adjust shades based on sunlight intensity and direction, preventing glare during video calls or protecting furniture from UV damage. This creates a home that responds to actual environmental conditions, rather than operating on assumptions about when you might need sun protection. Security automation benefits enormously from sensor-based triggers that distinguish between normal household activity and unusual events. Door and window sensors combined with motion detection can create intelligent security responses that account for normal daily patterns rather than simply arming and disarming at set times. The system learns when doors typically open and close, adapting security responses to actual household rhythms. Real examples of effective responsive automation include lighting that gradually adjusts throughout the day based on natural light levels and room occupancy, maintaining optimal visibility without manual intervention, climate control that responds to which rooms are occupied, focusing energy on comfortable spaces while allowing unused areas to drift toward more efficient temperatures, entertainment systems that activate when people settle into seating areas rather than trying to predict when you might want to watch television. Kitchen automation can respond to actual cooking activity through multiple sensor inputs. Motion in the kitchen combined with cabinet door sensors and appliance activity can trigger appropriate task lighting, ventilation, and even background music without requiring voice commands or app interaction. This creates a cooking environment that adapts to your activity rather than operating on predetermined schedules. The integration of multiple sensor types prevents the false positives and missed opportunities that plague single sensor automation. Combining presence detection with activity indicators and environmental conditions creates nuanced understanding of what's actually happening in your home. This approach eliminates the frustration of lights turning on when nobody needs them, or failing to activate when you're working quietly at a desk. Smart homes should respond to what you're doing, not what time it is. This fundamental shift from scheduled to responsive automation transforms your home from a collection of rigid timers into an intelligent environment that adapts to your actual lifestyle and needs. The technology becomes invisible because it works when and how you need it, rather than forcing you to adapt to predetermined schedules. However, even the most sophisticated sensor-based automation can fail when sensors are poorly placed, or when you're relying on the wrong types of environmental detection. The way you control your smart home determines whether it feels magical or frustrating, and most people get this completely wrong. People rely on individual device apps or basic voice commands for control, creating friction in daily use that transforms simple tasks into technological obstacles. Instead of making your home more convenient, poor control methods add complexity and frustration to activities that should be effortless. You have 12 different apps on your phone just to control your home, and none of them work well together. Your Philips Hue app controls lighting, while your Ecobee app manages temperature, your Ring app handles security, and your Sonos app controls music. Each app requires separate login credentials, different interface designs, and unique navigation patterns. When you want to create a relaxing evening atmosphere, you find yourself switching between multiple apps just to dim lights, adjust temperature, and start background music. This app juggling creates a workflow that defeats the purpose of home automation. You spend more time navigating through different interfaces than you would walking to physical switches and controls. The cognitive overhead of remembering which app controls which device, combined with the time required to open multiple applications, makes smart home control feel like work rather than convenience. Fragmented control methods create cognitive load and slow down simple tasks that should become faster with smart technology. Your brain must maintain a mental map of which devices live in which apps, remember different interface conventions for each manufacturer, and recall various authentication requirements. This mental inventory grows with each new device you add, creating an increasingly complex system that demands more attention rather than less. The switching cost between apps becomes particularly problematic during multi-step scenarios. Setting up for a dinner party requires coordinating lighting, music, and temperature across different applications, forcing you to context switch repeatedly instead of orchestrating everything smoothly. By the time you've navigated through all the necessary apps, your guests have already arrived, and you've missed the opportunity for seamless preparation. Individual device control forces you to think about technology instead of outcomes. When you want to watch a movie, you shouldn't need to remember that you have smart lights in 3 different apps, a smart TV with its own interface, and audio equipment controlled through yet another application. You want to think about watching a movie, not about managing a collection of separate devices that happen to be in the same room. Scene control offers a fundamentally different approach by managing multiple functions through single actions. Instead of individually adjusting 6 different lights, your thermostat, and your entertainment system, scenes let you trigger coordinated changes across multiple devices simultaneously. A movie night scene can dim all relevant lights, set the temperature to your preferred viewing level, close motorized shades, and activate your entertainment system with one tap. This approach shifts your thinking from device management to experience creation. You define the environmental conditions you want for different activities, then let the technology coordinate all the individual device adjustments needed to achieve those conditions. Scenes transform your relationship with smart home control from micromanagement to outcome-focused interaction. Dashboard interfaces can consolidate control while providing system status at a glance, eliminating the need to switch between multiple manufacturer apps. A well-designed dashboard presents all your home's functions through a unified interface that maintains consistent visual design and interaction patterns. You can see which lights are on, what temperature each room maintains, whether doors are locked, and what entertainment systems are active, all from a single screen. The status visibility that dashboards provide becomes particularly valuable during daily routines. You can quickly verify that everything is properly configured before leaving for work or check system status when returning home, without opening multiple apps or walking through every room. This overview capability helps you maintain awareness of your home state without requiring active monitoring of individual devices. Shared tablet interfaces demonstrate how dashboards can make smart home control accessible to family members and guests who don't have your collection of device apps installed on their personal phones. A centralized control panel mounted in a common area provides intuitive access to essential functions without requiring anyone to download apps, create accounts, or learn multiple interface conventions. Family members actually want to use control interfaces that feel familiar and require minimal learning. Children can easily understand icon-based scene controls that show pictures of different lighting moods or activity configurations. Elderly family members appreciate large, clearly labeled buttons that don't require remembering specific voice commands or navigating complex menu structures. Guests can adjust basic comfort settings without needing tutorials on your particular technology setup. The best control methods become invisible through automation and simple physical interfaces that blend seamlessly into daily routines. Smart switches that look and function like traditional switches provide familiar tactile feedback while enabling advanced features like scene activation through multiple button presses. These hybrid approaches preserve the immediate responsiveness of physical controls while unlocking smart functionality for users who want it. Physical smart buttons can trigger complex multi-device scenes through simple press actions. A button near your bed can activate a good night routine that locks doors, adjusts temperature, turns off lights throughout the house, and sets security systems, all without requiring you to remember voice commands or navigate through apps. The physical action feels natural and immediate while coordinating sophisticated background automation. Homes where control feels natural and immediate often combine multiple interface methods strategically. Automation handles predictable daily patterns without requiring any user intervention. Physical switches and buttons provide immediate tactile control for common adjustments. Dashboard interfaces offer comprehensive control and status visibility for complex scenarios. Voice commands supplement these primary methods for convenient access when your hands are busy or you're across the room. The key principle involves matching control methods to specific use cases rather than forcing everything through a single interface. Quick lighting adjustments work best through physical switches. Multi-room coordination benefits from dashboard controls. Hands-free operation while cooking utilizes voice commands effectively. This layered approach ensures you always have appropriate control options available without relying exclusively on any single method. Control interfaces succeed when they disappear into the background of daily life, requiring minimal conscious thought or technical knowledge. You shouldn't need to remember which app controls your bedroom lights or what exact phrase activates your morning routine. The technology should respond to natural actions and intentions, making your home more responsive without demanding attention or expertise. The best smart home control is the one you rarely have to think about. When control methods align properly with human behavior and preferences, smart home technology enhances your environment without creating new sources of friction or complexity. This seamless integration depends on understanding how control methods either support or sabotage the overall user experience. Most people never achieve this seamless control because they approach smart home building with a fundamental mindset that prioritizes individual devices over integrated systems. This mindset shift separates people with impressive gadget collections from those with truly intelligent homes. Most people start with cool devices and try to build a system around them, browsing Amazon or visiting electronics stores and getting excited about the latest smart thermostat, voice-controlled lights, or automated door locks. They see a product demonstration or read reviews about amazing features, then purchase devices based on individual capabilities rather than how those devices will work together to solve actual problems in their daily lives. This backwards approach creates a collection of solutions looking for problems rather than solving real needs. You end up with a smart doorbell that sends notifications to your phone, smart lights that you control through separate apps, and a smart thermostat that operates independently of everything else. Each device works as advertised individually, but they don't communicate with each other or contribute to a cohesive experience that actually improves how you live in your home. The device-first mentality leads to purchasing decisions based on novelty rather than necessity. You see a smart mirror that displays weather information and social media updates, so you buy it without considering whether you actually need that information in your bathroom or how it integrates with your existing morning routine. You install smart speakers in every room because they seem useful, but you never develop automation routines that make them work together effectively. System-first thinking starts with identifying actual daily friction points that technology could reasonably address. You observe your routines and notice specific moments of inconvenience or inefficiency. Maybe you consistently forget to turn off lights when leaving rooms, struggle to maintain comfortable temperatures in different areas of your house, or find yourself manually adjusting multiple devices when transitioning between daily activities like work, relaxation, and sleep. This approach requires honest assessment of your lifestyle patterns rather than assumptions about what smart home technology should do. You might discover that your biggest frustration involves managing lighting throughout the day as natural light changes, or coordinating temperature control between different family members with varying comfort preferences. These real problems become the foundation for smart home solutions rather than starting with devices and hoping they solve something useful. The difference between adding devices and designing experiences becomes clear when you compare these two approaches. Adding devices means purchasing individual products that perform specific functions, like a smart lock that you can control remotely, or smart bulbs that change colors on command. Designing experiences means creating coordinated responses to common scenarios, like a bedtime routine that simultaneously locks doors, adjusts temperature, dims lights gradually, and activates security systems through a single trigger. Experience design considers the entire sequence of actions and environmental changes needed to support specific activities. When you want to host a dinner party, the experience involves coordinating lighting for ambiance, temperature for comfort, music for atmosphere, and possibly adjusting window coverings for privacy. A system designed around this experience can orchestrate all these changes through scene activation, while a collection of individual devices requires separate control of each component. The best smart homes solve specific problems rather than showcasing technology capabilities. Successful implementations focus on eliminating daily annoyances or enhancing routine activities that happen regularly. A system that automatically adjusts lighting based on room occupancy and time of day solves the real problem of energy waste and convenience. Motion-activated pathway lighting addresses the actual need for safe navigation during nighttime bathroom trips. Problem-solving smart homes often appear less technologically impressive than gadget showcases, but they provide significantly more value to daily life. The technology becomes invisible because it addresses genuine needs without drawing attention to itself. You notice improved comfort, convenience, or efficiency rather than being amazed by technological features that don't contribute to better living. Planning approaches that ensure each device serves overall system goals start with defining desired outcomes for different scenarios and time periods. You establish what conditions should exist during morning routines, work-from-home periods, evening relaxation, and overnight security. Each device selection then gets evaluated based on its contribution to these defined experiences rather than its individual features or capabilities. This planning process prevents impulse purchases of devices that don't integrate well with existing systems or contribute to meaningful improvements. Before adding any new device, you consider how it communicates with current equipment, what automation opportunities it creates, and whether it addresses identified friction points. Devices that can't clearly contribute to system-level goals don't belong in a well-designed smart home. System thinking prevents the gadget graveyard problem by ensuring every device has a specific purpose within the larger home automation framework. Instead of accumulating smart devices that work in isolation, you build an integrated system where each component supports the others. Devices that don't integrate well or contribute to overall system functionality get eliminated during the planning phase rather than becoming expensive decorations. This approach also prevents the disappointment that comes from purchasing devices based on marketing promises that don't translate to real-world value. When you focus on solving actual problems, you can evaluate whether devices deliver meaningful improvements to your daily experience rather than just performing impressive demonstrations that have limited practical application. Examples of homes designed around user experience rather than device capabilities demonstrate the power of system-first thinking. A morning routine might combine gradual lighting increases, temperature adjustments, automated window shade opening, and gentle music activation to create a natural, waking experience that supports healthy circadian rhythms. This coordinated sequence addresses the real challenge of starting each day feeling alert and comfortable. Evening routines can coordinate security system activation, lighting reduction throughout the house, temperature optimization for sleep, and entertainment system shutdown to support healthy sleep hygiene and home security. These experiences require multiple devices working together, but the focus remains on the desired outcome rather than showcasing individual device capabilities. Kitchen automation examples include coordinating task lighting, ventilation, and music based on cooking activity detection, creating an environment that adapts to culinary work without requiring conscious device management. Home office automation can adjust lighting for video calls, minimize distracting notifications during focused work periods, and create appropriate environmental conditions for productivity. Transform from a smart device collector into a smart home architect by designing systems that serve your actual lifestyle rather than displaying technological capabilities. This transformation requires shifting focus from what devices can do to what experiences you want to create, from individual product features to integrated system behaviors, and from technology demonstration to problem-solving implementation. The architecture mindset treats your home as an integrated environment where technology supports human activities seamlessly rather